The New York City mayor's race is one of the most closely watched political contests in the country. And after a disastrous performance in the Democratic primary, former Governor Andrew Cuomo is hoping the second time's a charm. The Point starts right now. Andrew Cuomo is a man who needs no introduction, so we're going to get right into it. I want to ask you this. You've been campaigning for a very long time. What issue do you think that New Yorkers care about more than any other?
Good question. I think there's a constellation of issues. I think they would talk about the affordability. They would talk about crime. They would talk about public education.
But what's the most important thing?
I think the most important thing is they feel the city is headed in the wrong direction. There's a sense of chaos. The city's out of control. The city's in decline. I'm frustrated. I'm anxious about the city. I'm anxious about my life. I'm anxious about the public education system. I'm worried about New York. And that's how I feel also, by the way.
So if you're worried about New York and you feel that tension when you talk to other people, when you talk to them, how do you deal with it? I mean, for example, New York City's image has taken a blow. I think, you know, with the constant attack from the president and campaigns tell people things are awful, they're dangerous, you can't walk on the streets, oh my God, you're going to die. So what could you do to restore that? And would you become the city's cheerleader if you got elected, and how would you become the cheerleader?
Yeah.
Restore the swagger.
Yeah. Well, the cheerleader, I believe in New York, right? And we've seen the ups and downs. We know the roller coaster that can be New York City, right? So, yeah, we have problems. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, we have a president in Washington who poses a real threat. But we can handle this. We have been through worse. We are resilient, tough people. We are New Yorkers. We are a special breed. And government can actually work. I know it can. I've been part of a government that works.
So how do you change this ethos? How do you get rid of the anxiety? Because you admit that you feel it living in the city. How do you get rid of it?
You get rid of it by actually making a difference and showing progress. I don't think any politician...
It's promises. Everybody promises.
Yes, but that's the problem. Everybody promises and nothing happens. And then that adds to the skepticism and cynicism.
You're going to make it happen?
Because I have made it happen when I was governor. I have made it happen when I was HUD secretary. I have made it happen when I was attorney general. And I will make it happen as mayor. We will hire 5,000 more police, and you will see them on the street. And we'll have 1,500 cops in the subways, and you will see them, and you will feel safer when you see that.
Speak to the disenfranchised voters in New York, and there are a lot of them, and tell them what wonderful thing has government done in the last 10 years that will have improved their life in some way that they should feel positive about.
Oh, let me speak. From the state side, we passed the highest minimum wage in the United States of America. We passed the best paid family leave program in the United States of America. It was this state that passed marriage equality, changed the entire conversation, created a civil right. Go look at LaGuardia Airport, went from the worst to the best in the United States. Go look at the Kosciuszko Bridge, the Mario Cuomo Bridge, the 2nd Avenue subway. Go look at the Long Island Railroad track, an entirely new track run. Of course we can do things. This is New York.
But see, you've done all these things, and people still feel anxious. People are still worried. They're worried about whether they can afford to live here. They're worried about the rent. They're worried about whether their kids are going to get a good education. How can you change that? How can you make them say, I'm not anxious anymore?
You're right. Everything I talked about, they'll say, well, that was yesterday, right? Because we're New Yorkers, and that was yesterday. What are you going to do for me today? And right away, first 100 days in office, 5,000 new police officers, 1,500 in the subway. Number two, we're going to start construction on 80,000 new affordable units. The only way you're going to get the rents down is by increasing the supply. That's what has happened. We have no supply.
Can you get the rents down short term before you start building?
You can't, no, not without a gimmick that comes back and bites you in the tuchus later on. That's the quote-unquote freeze the rent. Bill de Blasio did that. My opponent is proposing that. We did that. It didn't work. About 25% of the housing units in New York City are rent stabilized, and they're saying we'll freeze that 25%. Yeah, well, first of all, it does nothing for the 75, and you don't really freeze the 25. You just postpone the increase. So that's a gimmick. The real answer is build more housing because we have a 1% vacancy rate. But we can do that. I was the former HUD secretary. I built housing all across the United States. It's not rocket science. If you can build subway tunnels and airports, you can build housing. But it's the competence to make the government actually work. And a government, Marcia, that says it's not about the rhetoric and the politics. It's about knowing how to manage and operate and having the ability, the skill, the talent, the hard-headedness to actually get things done in this city.
So look, you have 3 young daughters. I'm wondering how you could relate to young people who are coming here for the first time, trying to get their footing, and, you know, it's hard to make it. You know, I was having a conversation with my producer earlier, and she said, you know, what did you do when you first came to the city? How much did you earn, and what was it like? And I was telling her I earned $200 a week, and I had to pay $300 with a roommate. It was $300 for rent, and I had to, you know, I can't tell you the place I had to live in with cockroaches, and it was horrible. But yet people come now and they're expecting to live in a high-rise building with a washer dryer in the apartment, and life is going to be good. How can you relate to those people who want to, in different times, try to get a footing in New York, which is a really expensive place to live?
Look, there is no doubt that the rents are too high. Jimmy McMillan, the rent is too darn high. Let's paraphrase McMillan. There is no doubt. And it hurts us because it hurts us with young people coming to New York. Now, I do think there's an expectation gap, by the way.
How do you fix that?
I don't think you do. I think they believe, and I have this conversation all the time with young people, because I remember my first apartment.
What was your first apartment like?
It wasn't even a studio. It was like a hallway. It was like a hallway with a kitchen sink.
Did you know you were poor?
Oh, I knew I was poor when I walked into that apartment.
But see, I lived in a horrible place. I didn't know I was poor. I just lived with what I had.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the cockroaches were even poor in my apartment.
Believe me,
But, you know, their expectation is different. But there's no doubt that the affordability problem is all across the board. And that is just the supply of housing, build more housing. Doable, doable. All these things are doable. You know, a mayor is a management job, right? And when you look at the mayors who actually were successful, they were managers. Mike Bloomberg was a manager. Wasn't a politician, he was a manager. Bill de Blasio, in my opinion, one of the worst mayors we've had. Couldn't manage anything, never did manage anything, never had any experience.
So your qualification, your calling card is management skills.
Get stuff done. Know how to make the government work. Know how to build housing. Know how to deal with Washington. Know how to deal with Trump. Know how to deal with the state legislature. Fix my city. Get it done. Stop talking. No more this. Make things happen.
All right, let me ask you this. I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on the following things. First of all, likability, 1 to 10.
It depends by who? By my daughters? By you?
Yourself. Rate yourself 1 to 10 on likability.
I like myself.
So you give yourself a?
I give myself a 9. Today, I'm not so happy with myself.
What about your personality, 1 to 10?
8.5.
What about ability to compromise? 1 to 10.
1 to 10? 11.
Oh, my God. There are people out there that are screaming. Okay.
I know they're throwing things at the TV right now.
Experience, 1 to 10.
12.
Okay. Energy.
12.
12?
12.
Okay. Diligence.
10.
10?
10.
You only give yourself a 10?
Yeah, because look, sometimes you have to make a decision, right? Well, I need more time, I need more intelligence, I need more facts. Sometimes indecision is a decision, right? And when you're an executive, you have to make the decision today with what you know today. Postponement, Marcia, that is a decision to postpone a decision. And a lot of executives make that mistake. I'll decide.
Not you.
No, I know when it is time to decide, you have to decide based on the information you have.
And you do it. And on that note, we're going to leave it right there for now. But we will be right back with more of Andrew Cuomo. We are back with Andrew Cuomo. I want to talk to you about affordability, but one of the things people complain a lot about is the high cost of gas and electricity. Is there anything that a mayor can do to try to bring those costs down? Because in a sense, that makes an apartment more affordable.
Yeah, it's a good point. The mayor has a limited role. Really, that's more a state role, federal role. What the city can do is expedite transmission lines. One of the reasons we have high-cost power is we're not getting the low-cost power from upstate New York. You know, there is...
Why can't we do that?
Well, there's hydropower in Canada, in Quebec, Hydro-Quebec, and you have nuclear plants upstate New York. As governor, I ran cables down the Hudson River to bring that power all the way down the Hudson River to New York City. But then you get into a New York City, the grid, the transmission grid. And the city has been slow historically in making those connections.
Could
and
a
the
mayor
city
fix
grid,
it?
yes, the city, the mayor can make a difference with that.
So let's talk about the high cost of food and clothing. Have you ever thought about the idea as a mayor of having the city council pass a tax holiday so people could, you know, not pay taxes during certain times of the year to try to get things down?
Yeah, tax holidays, we've done that. It has worked. But the costs are so high, Marcia, that just a few tax holidays isn't going to make a difference in some ways.
But yet, mentally, people are going to feel better about it because they feel that they're getting something back. But I wonder if you can do things like property tax reform, which may be able to bring down actually the cost of housing if you could fix the inequitable rates of property taxes.
Well, first of all, 100%. New York State is just too expensive. New York City is too expensive. As governor, I cut taxes for middle class. I cut the estate tax. I cut the corporate tax. And I passed something called the property tax cap for homeowners, which I want to pass in New York City, where your taxes are limited to no more than 2% growth per year, because homeowners are getting crushed. That would make a major difference.
But you need state approval to do that, right?
I passed it in the state. It exists all over the state.
But not New York City?
But not New York City.
How come?
Because the mayor wouldn't accept it in New York City. And as mayor, I will pass the 2% property tax cap, which is a major boon for homeowners.
You know, all of this is by way of saying you think you could do a better job than either of your two opponents, Curtis Lee or Zohran Mamdani. But I wonder if you feel you could do the same better job in terms of teachers and education. You know, class size is going to have to be reduced by state law. And the city's going to need as much as 12,000 new teachers. How are you going to get them?
Look, public education, we are losing young families in this city. Enrollment is way down. Young families leave because
Why?
when the child has to go to school, they move to the suburbs or they move to Jersey because they're going to have a better education. We have to improve our public education system. First, I would continue mayoral control. My opponent would give up mayoral control. Mayoral control was the best reform in 40 years, right? We did it here first with Mayor Bloomberg. But somebody's accountable. You want to be...
But how do you get more people to teach? You have to reduce class size. You need more teachers.
You need more teachers. The state is going to have to, you know, the state had a great idea, smaller class size. Thank you very much. You know, eat less, burn more calories, lose weight. I get it. But smaller class size is expensive because we have to hire more teachers. It could be $1 billion extra. So we need financial assistance. And then you can hire more teachers. You may have to pay more, like police, by the way. We're going to have to increase the starting salary because you can't hire cops.
Do you have to give them some sweeteners? Do you have to give them tuition help? Do you have to give them bonuses? How do you do it?
You can do it with police. I would give them an incentive to start, an incentive after year one. Teachers, I would sit down with the union and figure out what incentive package works. Is it a salary increase? Is it a bonus for performance, a bonus at the end of the first year, continuing education credit, college credit?
Would you keep the present chancellor?
I would review all the positions.
Every position, including police commissioner, any of the people who work for Mayor Adams now would be on your short list of people that you would consider as possible?
I think Commissioner Tisch has done a really, really good job. And I would say off the bat, I would ask her to stay.
What about sanitation commissioner?
You know, I haven't spent enough time with the other commissioners, or I'm not as familiar with their record, but I think the police commissioner's done a very good job.
So there's been a lot of talk about the Jewish vote. And one thing that I think is sort of interesting, there's a new poll that's out from Fox News, and it basically says that you and Mr. Mamdani split the Jewish vote. You get 42%, he gets 38%. I wonder, given the issues you've raised about his support for, or lack of support for a Jewish state, why are so many Jews supporting him, and how can you convince them that that's not the right thing in your view?
Well, I think what's going on is two things. First, you have a difference of opinion on what's happening in Gaza and the Middle East. And you have people on both sides of that issue, Jewish people on both sides of that issue. And I think that's part of what you're seeing. Yes, I'm pro-Israel. But you also have anti-Semitism in New York, where you have the highest rate of anti-Semitic incidents in New York City. Largest Jewish population outside of Israel. And that is reprehensible. I mean, you have Jewish families who don't feel safe in New York.
So why are they supporting Mamdani?
Well, I do believe on the Middle East issue and how Israel has been dealing with Gaza, I think there's a division. And the assemblyman is very much pro-Gaza.
But Jewish New Yorkers are supporting him.
Well, I think there are Jewish New Yorkers who disagree with how Israel has handled the Gaza situation.
So do you think, there was a whole discussion during the debate, do you think he's anti-Semitic?
I don't. We've had this conversation on different contexts. Are you a racist? Are you anti-Semitic? Who knows? You have to look into somebody's soul. Has he taken positions that have inflamed the Jewish community, that are apparently anti-Semitic? Yes, he has. When you won't condemn, globalize the Intifada, just think about that. Globalize the Intifada means kill the Jews, okay? If it was anyone else, if it was kill the Italians, kill the black people, you'd have to condemn it. Everybody would immediately condemn it.
But
globalize the Intifada, he won't condemn. Things like that are troubling. Condemn Hamas. They're terrorists.
Okay. On that note, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But there's more right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Thank you for joining me. Heading into the home stretch, a self-proclaimed Democratic socialist leads New York City's mayor's race. But his victory ruined the city's image as the financial center of the universe. New Yorkers are weighing in on your point. Why do you think New York City is considered the financial capital of the world?
Because that's where the money is.
Wall Street, stock exchange, lots of money coursing through here.
An inordinate amount of foreign governments and individuals of great wealth park most of their money here.
I mean, Wall Street. Look at Wall Street, right? But, you know, we're in trouble if this Mamdani gets elected.
That was the next question.
It's a magnet for so many industries.
There's like a large amount of commercial activity that also goes on here at a volume that you can't really find in other places.
I feel like we have everything.
Would having a Democratic socialist as mayor change that?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I think his democratic values are the same as most New Yorkers.
Depending on what his views is, you know, what his plan is.
Remains to be seen. I don't think so. I think He's running to support businesses and working people in the city. He's not running on the program of the Democratic Socialists.
I don't like to use the term Democratic Socialist, but I'm not a supporter of his.
It does not matter who is going to be Republican, Democrat. It has nothing to do with that. They don't control banks. Banks, they control themselves.
Change it.
Change it? It's going to devastate it. I'm not even in finance, but all I know is if you have a social democrat who's really a communist come into office and set down guidelines and rules, all of these companies, unfortunately, are going to start moving headquarters, moving to Florida, moving to Texas. I mean, we're already seeing it from, people I know, and that's unfortunate. New York was built on Wall Street.
So why do you think some people are concerned about a Democratic Socialist?
The word socialist pushes a button.
Because the Republicans told them to.
It does not matter to me, Democrat, Republican, but they did not do nothing good.
If I'm being completely honest, I think the fact that that he's not white is concerning to people.
Just hear Trump or any conservative call him a communist, they don't understand.
On a lot of the sites that I look at, that I comment on, they're calling him a radical socialist, beware. They're not listening to what's really going on.
I think what would be more interesting to me than talking about why people are afraid of Zorhan, right? Would be like doing research on him and doing research on his competitors and trying to understand what it is that they're actually trying to get done and how to try to do it.
So why do you think people are afraid of the idea of having a Democratic Socialist in power?
People are afraid of change. And change is the only thing that's constant, so do it or be dragged.